Kotal senses something.
Mahag Sar. That makes 4 out of the 5 realms that I've visited now.
I wonder what kind of lord we're gonna find there.
It doesn't matter. If they try to get in our way, we'll take them down and that'll be that.
A fish!
I didn't realize there was a pond here.
Yeah, this is Taka Pond. And it happened to have saved my life once upon a time.
What do you mean?
As a kid, I survived life under the past lords by escaping here when I needed to. It's terrible to swim in, but great for catching a bite for dinner away from Ren and eyes. Bear in mind, our rations back then weren't enough to live off of. You had to take matters into your own hands if you wanted enough food to survive.
But how did you catch them? With your bare hands?
That might take a while. Fish are prone to swim away at the first sign of trouble. I'd put bait or a lure on a line and use it with a fishing rod. You must not be familiar with fishing if this sounds new to you. Here, let me show you how it's done. There's a nice breeze here. Ha! There we go. Ugh. 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 She's got a good size to her, all told.
We can make a real feast out of this bad boy!
And that's all there is to it.
Wow. It seems like you need to have good reflexes to catch anything. I don't know if it's really for me. Kisara? I think I've seen enough.
Oh, sorry. I guess I'm just in my own little world when I go fishing.
Looks like we're going to be here for a while.
That's how fishing goes. You wait for a bite, and then the real battle begins. Miguel told me that different fish live in different regions, and you have to pick the right rod and lure for what you're hoping to catch.
But that doesn't change the fact it's a giant time sink.
Of course, each fish has its own unique flavor, too. And some of them are supposed to be extremely delicious.
When you put it like that, maybe it's worth me trying my hand at fishing after all.
You're just in it for the food.
I was hoping we'd get to fish during our travels. And it just so happens I made sure to grab my brother's old rod before I left Vicente. So, if you ever feel like fishing when we've got a little downtime, just let me know.
Good to hear. Thanks for showing us.
Okay!
We should be able to...
Hey. Is it just me, or have those two barely spoken a single word to one another?
I know, right? But after everything that happened with Miguel, is it really any wonder?
Kinda puts a damper on the whole journey though, huh? How long do you think they're gonna keep this up?
If it bothers you that much, why don't you ask them?
Why do I have to ask?
How come you walk together like that?
She really doesn't beat around the bush.
You mean Kisara and myself?
You hadn't noticed? You've been practically joined at the hip ever since we left Vicente.
I guess it's force of habit, most likely. I was always ready to protect him, should the need arise. It sort of came with the job description.
Right. From being in the Elder Menancia Guard. Although, Dohalim's pretty capable of defending himself, isn't he?
Having guards doesn't necessarily mean the one being guarded is weak. No one's perfect all the time.
Even so, it's not like they're entirely wrong, Kisara. You're no longer in my employ, after all.
I don't know. I mean, if it's what she's used to and you're both comfortable with it, then who are we to judge?
But she doesn't serve him anymore. It isn't normal for her to keep following him around like she still does.
You know, she's probably right. And a lot has changed over the last few days. I guess it wouldn't hurt to rethink our relationship in light of the new circumstances. Perhaps I'll give it some thought after all. Does that sound all right by you?
Of course.
You might want to stop asking his permission for every little thing while you're at it.
Sorry. It's not that easy, shaking off old habits. I'll probably need a little time to get fully used to it.
Something feels odd here. Be on your guard. All right.
There's nowhere to run from my heart.
When he slows down, that's our chance!
Reload!
Take it!
Away! Lightning Ray!
No!
Up and out!
Megasonic thrust!
Water! Photon blast! To the wind!
Can't get out of this!
Air thrust!
You're mine! It's over!
Gemini
It's
Ultra
time.
Hurricane!
Sword Rain Alpha!
Spread! Mega Ray!
Demon
And
Pack!
here you back into the fray!
Leave the ensnaring to me.
Yeah! And
In a bind?
In here! Annihilation! More Mega Ray!
Escape!
Crystal energy!
Prepare to be seized!
Eat this! Glacial Spear! Lightning Dissolver! Thunderblade!
I'll tear you apart!
In a bind?
Here I come! It's over!
Prepare to be seized!
In here! More for the stockpile! Hit!
I'll tear you
this.
apart!
Up and at Annihilation!
You're finished!
One last one!
Sword Rain Alpha!
Lightning Condemn! Do it! Thunderblade!
Kisara! Commander of Heaven!
Phoenix Cyclone!
Dance in the wind! Take it! Dragon
Now remember.
Lightning!
No escape!
More for the stockpile!
In a bind?
I'm on! Take it!
Annihilation!
Sword Rain Alpha!
Mega Ray!
Sword
Do it!
Rain Alpha!
Air thrust!
Got some interesting moves there, Dohalim. I'm glad you're on our side.
I'm simply glad to hear that I can make myself useful to you all. Huh?
What's wrong?
We seem to have come across some rather unusual objects.
What, you mean that pile of garbage?
No mere garbage, I assure you. Still, I've never seen anything shaped like it before. I'm intrigued.
Are you curious about this stuff, Rinwell?
Yeah. I think he might have found some old Danon relics. They look like the remains of a bunch of objects that disappeared after the Renans first invaded.
And yet here I am, holding them without so much as a second thought. I imagine the sight must be unsettling to you.
Not really, just that it must be nice to be a Renan who has time to indulge in stuff like that, unlike the rest of us.
Are you interested in this stuff too, Dohalim?
Charmed may be a better turn of phrase. I simply love objects that can give me a sense of what their maker was thinking, the history that went into their creation. You see, we Renans have hardly any such objects that trace back to our distant past.
I still don't understand what you two find so intriguing about it, though.
Why not? We're talking about our own culture here.
I get that, but it's not like this stuff is any use now, does it? It's just old. Real old.
Oh, but it does. Holding it in your hands like this, one can feel and engage with the distant past in a way no history book can ever accomplish.
I'll take your word for it. Well, seeing as it's Danon history, just make sure you're careful with it. All right, Dohalim?
But of course. There's history in the air here. I can smell it.
I don't smell anything.
Don't encourage him.
Visibility along this path will remain limited for some time. Take care not to get ambushed.
I'm surprised you know the terrain here so well. Lords don't strike me as having much time for wandering in the woods.
Sometimes I would take strolls along here when I wished to be alone.
You always did have a bad habit of disappearing without telling any of us guardsmen.
It's so hilly around here. I can feel my feet getting blisters.
That's mountain hiking for you. It can be pretty tough if you're not used to these sorts of trails.
I take it you're comfortable with them then?
Oh yeah. We used to run up and down these slopes all the time for our training exercises.
Damn. You weren't messing around.
More Danon ruins here too, I see.
What were people even thinking back then? Trying to build anything around here.
Maybe they just had that much time and energy on their hands.
I sure have built up a sweat with this hike.
Rest assured, we have reached the top. It's all downhill from here. Quite literally.
So Mahag Sar's just up ahead then?
Indeed. If you look, across this mountain is the Lord's Keep.
that big tower over there?
I've noticed that sometimes we come across enemies who fight like you, and try to dodge our attacks at the last second.
I hate those guys. I can get some hits in when they move into attack, but otherwise they slip past damn near everything else I throw at them.
If what you're seeking is a way to more reliably hit them, there is a solution.
Try to outclass them on reflexes?
I possess the ability to command Earth elemental beings to some extent. They emerge as the land itself and take root on my command. They will swiftly bind the enemies, at which point you can dispatch them.
Huh?
What he means is that he can make plants grow to hold the enemies in place. At least I think that's probably what he's saying.
I'm glad at least one of us understands him. So basically, if we find an enemy that likes to dodge, we should let Dohalim handle it.
I shall do what I can within my modest means to help.
We should be able to cook here. Let's see. I've cooked, cleaned, and sewn. I think that's everything for today.
All done. Come and eat.
You okay, Shion? You're not eating very much.
What's wrong? Do you not like the cheese fondue that you made?
Yeah, I'm used to seeing you more excited about food.
You're not feeling sick, are you?
No, I'm fine. It's nothing like that. It's just...
What?
I guess I just don't understand what the appeal is. We could just as easily put everything on a plate and pour the cheese on top of it instead.
I suppose it lies in being able to decide exactly how much cheese you want. There's also something to be said for enjoying how it all turns out. It's fun.
That's fine and all, but I wish the plate-to-mouth time was shorter.
I think I understand. You don't like having to put in so much effort into eating something, do you?
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. Actually, now that I think about it, you're a way less fussy eater than you look, Shion.
In my book, there's no one right way to eat a meal. Tuck in, take your time, be dainty or devouring. As long as you enjoy the food, that's what counts.
There's no need to stand on ceremony while we're out camping in the wilderness.
Yeah, you're right. In that case, don't mind if I do.
I've never seen someone dump that much cheese on a meal before. Shion, could we talk a moment?
Shouldn't you be resting?
I wanted to talk with you for a bit.
I don't really want to talk right now.
Right. I'll, stop bothering you then.
I didn't say you were bothering me. Sorry. Don't take it personally. I'm just not used to being around other people, so I don't really know how to chit-chat.
Well, for a start, you let your guard down a little. Hey, here's a thought. What if you tell me about your childhood?
What with my thorns and all, I didn't really have one. Not to speak of, anyway. Although, I guess I did have one friend.
Who was it?
A really old doll.
Oh.
When I was a little girl, the doll was the only thing I could touch and hold without worrying about my thorns hurting it. I would do things like dress it up or sit it on my lap when I was eating. The two of us were practically inseparable.
Can I ask something?
Is it about the fact that I played with dolls?
No, it isn't. I only wanted to ask who gave you the doll in the first place.
I don't remember. It was a long time ago.
Where is it now?
I had to leave it behind when I left Lenegus. I didn't have a choice. Most likely it's long gone at this point. I think it's time we go to sleep. Morning. Ready to head out?
Not this way, I guess. Not this way, I guess. Guess I misread the landing. Still thinking about how to act around Dohalim?
That obvious, huh? Except I don't think I'll be changing much after all. Don't get me wrong, I'm not going to stay his servant. However, I am going to treat him like a fellow comrade, the same way I would with you or anyone else. For as long as I can remember, I've spent my life protecting others. But isn't that what friends do too? Support and protect one another in times of need?
Which in the end pretty much means doing as you've always done, right? If that's what you're most comfortable with, I'm certainly not going to give you any grief over it.
Actually, I've been thinking about how I ought to act around you all as well.
Oh?
When I set out on this journey, it was to rid Eldaman and Sia of its enemies, and search for wisdom in the outside world. Wisdom that I could potentially put to use on my return. I'm grateful to you all for letting me tag along. But it got me thinking, what am I actually contributing by being here?
What are you talking about? You know how to hold a weapon, don't you? That's help enough.
Is it though? Sometimes I wish there was more I could be doing to pull my...
Oops, sorry about that. Jeez, I'm famished.
Now that you mention it, what do you guys normally do for food and meals when you're out and about on your travels?
What do you mean, what do we do? We find stuff to eat and eat it. So long as it's meat, I'm not fussy.
Eating what you like can be good for morale in the short term, but you need to think about your diet if you want to stay healthy.
Does that mean eating vegetables too?
Isn't that obvious?
It does, which I guess hasn't been happening up till now.
Yeah, to be honest, we could be eating better than we do.
Understood. In that case, I'll just have to make sure you're all staying healthy and eating right myself. Fortunately, I happen to know a thing or two about cooking as well.
You hear that, Law? Sounds like you'll be eating your greens after all.
What is it?
No, sorry, it's just... I was just wondering if you had any thoughts on all this.
It will do her good to have a project.
No, not Kisara. I meant you. Was there anything you wanted to add?
Me? Certainly you're not looking to me for culinary skill, I hope.
Typical Renan, leaving everything to someone else.
Rinwell, I don't think...
That said, should you need my skills on the battlefield, please rest assured I have no intention of shirking my responsibilities, regardless of who we may face.
I'm sure no one doubts that. Listen, guys, if we're traveling together, we should probably at least try to make an effort to get to know one another, don't you think?
I wouldn't get your expectations too high in that regard. Believe it or not, sometimes I'm not sure I even know myself all that well.